So there's this really strange and frankly pretty destructive pattern emerging all around the world. It involves fire, vandalism, and, you guessed it, one of the most talked about brands on the planet, Tesla. Let's get into what's actually going on here.
You hear something like that and you think, no way. It sounds like something straight out of a movie. But this is very, very real. A Tesla showroom was deliberately set ablaze, and believe me, it's just the tip of the iceberg of a much, much bigger story.
Okay, so this latest event, the one that's really got people talking, takes us all the way down under to a suburb of Sydney, Australia.
And when you look at the evidence from this Sydney attack, there's just no room for doubt about what happened. This was not an accident. Police literally found fuel cans at the scene in Parramatta. We're talking 3 vehicles totally incinerated, and the showroom itself left with massive structural damage. This was a clear, deliberate act of arson, plain and simple.
Now, as you can imagine, Tesla moved fast to get ahead of the narrative. They put out a statement making one thing absolutely crystal clear. This fire had nothing to do with their cars or their batteries. This wasn't a malfunction. It was an outside, intentional attack. And you know, this really gets to the heart of the whole issue. You've got this huge gap between the actual facts of the arson and the story that could easily start spreading like wildfire. So, what's the real story here?
So here you have it, the 2 competing stories. On one side, you've got the reality that Tesla is putting forward. This was a deliberate arson attack. But on the other side, you have this prediction from our source material that the public narrative is just going to become, oh, look, EVs catch fire. It's a classic battle of fact versus a much simpler and, let's be honest, way more misleading story.
And the big concern is that this is exactly the kind of thing so many people will just grab onto. It feeds this idea that's already out there that EVs are just ticking time bombs, no matter what the actual evidence says in a case like this. But here's the kicker. The fire in Sydney? It's not a one-off. It's not even close. As we zoom out, you start to see that it's just the latest piece of a much larger global pattern of hostility aimed right at Tesla.
Yeah, this isn't just happening on one continent. We've seen really similar incidents playing out across Europe, starting in Germany, then it spreads over to Italy. It's even jumped all the way across the Atlantic to the United States.
And yep, it's flared up in France too. The scope of this is truly international.
And we're not talking about small acts of vandalism here. This is serious stuff. I mean, an arson attempt at the actual Berlin Gigafactory, dealerships and stores set on fire in Germany and Italy, destroying 17 cars in Rome alone. There was even a gunfire attack at a store in Oregon, and a dozen vehicles torched in France. According to the source, this isn't just random. It's being coordinated by some anti-capitalist and extremist groups who've claimed responsibility for attacks under names like the Tesla Takedown Movement.
Okay, so that's the what. We see what's happening. But the million-dollar question is, why? What in the world is motivating this intense, destructive campaign against this one company?
Let's dig into it. What could possibly be driving this level of coordinated anger?
While the source materials suggest a few things might be going on. First, there's a huge, very personal dislike for the CEO, Elon Musk. That's a big one. Second, it points to organized protest movements, which the source even claims are sometimes funded. And third, there's just a powerful anti-EV narrative floating around. Now, the source speculates this story is most effective with people who might be more likely to believe misinformation they see online, but it's important to note that specific point is purely the author's opinion.
But just when you think you've got it figured out, the story takes this fascinating, totally unexpected twist. What if all of this destruction is actually backfiring on the attackers?
It's a pretty provocative thought, isn't it? Could seeing these showrooms on fire, these cars completely destroyed, could it actually be creating sympathy and, in a really strange way, end up helping the Tesla brand?
And we're going to end on this powerful idea from the source material. The theory goes like this. For the average person watching, even if you don't like Tesla, seeing this level of violent destruction doesn't make you agree with the attackers. It makes you feel sympathy for the target, and it leaves us all with a pretty fascinating question. Is this whole campaign of hostility actually building up support for the very thing it's trying to tear down? Let me know what you think.